team, we're back in the yard. So we got these two units. Apparently none of them are cooling. I got both of them on right now. This one's doing something. That one's not doing anything. Apparently these are broken and they want a repair option. They got quoted for new ones and they didn't do it. Now they want us to try to fix it. But yeah, this one seems to be working. So we'll start with this one. So here we go. So it looks like we got a heat pump going on. So this is our true suction. So this is going back to the compressor, and it's not very cold. This one's warm, so that means we're in heat mode. As you can see, it continues on to this, which is also warm. This one right here is our current suction line, which this is actually going here. So this right now is our evaporator coil. So we're running in heat mode. So that means we need to have a call for Y for compressor and O for reversing valve to put it in cool. And as you can see, this is disconnected for some reason. So let's plug that in and see if it does anything. Okay, we're going to hook up some gauges. Alright, well our pressures are looking pretty good. We have a 30-degree superheat. We're looking at our pressures. We can see that we are at 72 and 216, but our superheat is at like 33. Our target superheat currently would be in current indoor temperatures. This is what we got going on here. We only got a 13-degree delta between supply and return. Using check and charge, I've determined that my target superheat is 6 degrees, so I'm low on charge. A couple things that show that is the case is, one is we have the higher superheat. The second one is our subcool's a little bit on the low side. Also, if you look at our pipe temperature for our suction line, we're at 74 degrees. So something's going on with that. So either we got some kind of weird restriction going on or we're low on charge. So I would start with low on charge. Now this is an R22 system, so we may not want to go that route. And for some reason, somebody unplugged this, so they were running in heat only. Heat mode, you can kind of get away with it, but not really necessarily in cool. This is bypassing right now, that's good. Let's move on to this one, see what's going on with this. Now I do know the disconnect is pulled on that one, so I want to see if the contactor is even closing on that. Alright, so the contactor is currently closed. So let's go ahead and see if we can apply some power and see what it does. Alright, so we got no power, so it looks like somebody turned the breaker off or popped the breaker. So let's go ahead and ohm out that compressor. Alright, so we're going to ohm out this compressor. This is our common, this is our run. We have 11.5, common to start, 1.43. We should have like about 13, 12, 13. Yeah, let's go to ground. Yep, grounding compressor. Alright, so let's see if we have some acid in this thing. 2-second acid test on the suction. No acid. I feel like there's no refrigerant in there. Yeah, so we only have about 24.5 psi off pressure of R22. This thing's practically flat, so there's also a leak. So not only do we have a grounded compressor, but we also have a leak somewhere. Look at this, 7/8, inch and an eighth. So it's gonna need a lot of refrigerant. Let's see, so this thing holds 246 ounces of R22. 246 divided by 16. So that's 15.375 plus the fact that it's inch and an eighth all the way to the furnace. Probably going to be more like close to 20 pounds. Somewhere in between 15 and 20. So yeah. New compressor, leak check, and new refrigerant. Probably going to be converting over to MO99. So yeah. How old is this thing? This thing is 2014. Yeah, so 10 years old, a little over 10. Okay, so I got the compressor disconnected. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that the fan works. I got the power turned back on. All right, fan is running. So cool. Yeah, so it sounds to me like they're gonna wanna do the repair option, which is gonna be terrible. But I do this because the last thing I wanna do is if they change the compressor then it turns out that the fan motor's dead, then they're gonna be mad at me. So I always do this. I'll disconnect the compressor and then make sure the fan actually works, which it does. We're gonna do a leak search on this thing first with nitrogen. If I can find the leak, see if it's repairable. If it's repairable, we're gonna change the compressor. If it's not, we're gonna change the unit. So that's pretty much where we're at. And I know you guys, you sales guys are like, just replace it. And it's like, no, we don't do things like that. So, okay, so we got hooked up. So we do have a little bit of R22 left in there, so, which is cool because we can use it as a trace gas. So we'll use a sniffer to see if we can find the leak. We're gonna go to 300 PSI and go from there. Okay, so we're at the indoor coil and we're just looking for leaks here. The unit's actually been holding pressure, so we may have leaky Schrader cores. So we'll check those after we're done up here. And there is a cap there for the equalizer port of a TXV. So we want to make sure that that's not leaking. Any potential rub spots we want to check. It's also possible somebody stole the refrigerant. I'll try to get them back as best we can. All right, so no bubbles, so I don't think our leak is in here. It's probably outside somewhere, thankfully. So we shall go outside. We did a nitrogen pressure test. Turned out that the service valve was leaking. Was able to seal it with nylog, and then the Schrader cores were also leaking. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and change the compressor taste. So here we go. Okay, we got the lid taken off. Just set it over there. We're gonna vacuum all this junk out. I don't want to risk getting any contaminants in the new compressor, so we're gonna just kind of clean this up real quick. Okay, so we got her pretty much cleaned up. I don't know why they do that, but yeah, that line dryer is gonna be a pain. So what's gonna happen with that is I'm gonna cut that out, put a straight piece of copper, and then put the line dryer out here. Because yeah, stupid. But anyway, to make that much easier to get to, you can take these panels off to get to it. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and do that, but we're gonna start with getting the compressor sweated out. Once the compressor's out of the way, we'll go ahead and get that line dryer out of there. All right, we're about ready to sweat this off. Got the nitrogen flowing through. It's very important you do that when you're sweating, because that can cause oxidation, that black stuff inside. So it's like, it's all fine and dandy if you're doing that when you're brazing stuff on, but if you don't do it when you're brazing stuff off, you might as well just not use nitrogen at all. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get this brazed out. Yeah, I broke the pipe. All right, we got the straight pipe put in and we got our line dryer put in. So now we just need to figure out how to get the compressor in there, because my 7/8 line, my suction line is gonna be a little bit short, and I don't have any 7/8 on the truck. It got put on someone else's truck when I was doing an install. So we'll see how this goes. This is gonna be a little short. So what I'll do is I'll cut it here and shorten it so it'll bring it closer, and then we just kind of bend it over like that. That should work. All right, so I had to cut it a second time to make it all fit, but yeah, so we chopped it there, shortened it a little bit, and now it's all good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and start brazing. We'll get that done first, and then we'll start there and then work our way over. All right, so we're just pressurizing this, making sure we have no leaks in my brazes. Always wipe off your brazes. Well, I'm just doing the nitrogen sweep now. She did hold pressure. I got all the electrical done, new capacitor, new contactor. We just got to put the lid back on and then zip tie a few things in there. But yeah, seems to be good. No leaks. So yeah, then I'm going to re-insulate all this. So yeah. All right, so we are at 216 microns, so I would say we are good. I've already purged all the air out of my hoses, so we're gonna go ahead and valve this off, and then we'll go ahead and charge her up. And we're converting it from 22 to MO99, also known as R438A. So, yep. All right, so she's isolated. We're holding at 281 microns, so the factory charge on this is 246 ounces. So we take that and we divide that by 16. So that's 15.375 pounds. And then this line set from here all the way to the indoor unit, it's 1.125 inches. So we're gonna probably have to go a little past that. Now MO99 is usually about 95% of the total charge. So I'm gonna go about 15 pounds, and then we'll kind of turn it on and see how it goes from there. So we're gonna let it into the liquid line. So here we go. I'm gonna have to start it up to get the rest of it in there. So we're gonna power it on for the first time. So here we go. So far so good. 6. So we got 14. So we got 14 pounds in this thing. I found out that the heater was running, the electric strips were running for some reason, so got that fixed. I got about a 14 degrees superheat. I'm calling for 15. My subcool is a little bit on the low side, but there is no TXV from what I could see. So everything seems to be okay. We're gonna just check the inside temperature, but yeah, it was blowing like 100 degrees. I was like, what the heck is going on here? So yeah, anyway, she's cooling now that the electric strip heat isn't running at the same time as the condenser. So we're good to go. I ran in heat and putting out pretty good temperatures considering it's like 78 degrees out today. We're finally getting some heat over here. But anyway, that's how you change out a compressor on this system. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment, tell me what a horrible technician I am. Hit that bell notification and follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to support the channel, pick up some cool work socks from Camel City Mill. Nighthawk 10 gets you 10% off. Or visit the links in the description below. Thanks for watching.